What's going on, guys? My name is Versatile, and welcome back to another World War III video. And today is going to be a suggestions type video, so I'm just going to be going on what should be added, removed, or changed into the game. Now, this game, it's not a bad game, but it definitely has some quirks and bugs that still needs to be ironed out. And before I get started, let me know what you would like to be added, removed, or changed in the game. I want to kind of jog a discussion. Maybe we can get some attention of the developers. And without further ado, if you guys do enjoy, don't forget to like and comment. And without further ado, let's get into it. So my first suggestion would be to fix controller support. Now, I play on controller whenever I help it, and there are some inputs that overlap or some button prompts that overlap. You'll end up doing something that you didn't really want to do, and that can pose a serious problem down the road. And also, since I play on a PlayStation 5 controller, in game, it'll also show me Xbox prompts, which I do find very weird because a lot of games that have control support do not have this issue. So I think personally, as a controller player, I'm not even asking for aim assist. I'm just asking for them to finally fix the button and the button layouts. So that'll be my first suggestion. My next suggestion will be something from Call of Duty, actually. So, in case you guys don't know, when you select the weapon in Call of Duty, or at least in Modern Warfare 2019, which is what these screenshots are going to be, you can see the store side where you can go select a bundle. So, pretty much why I wanted that to be in World War III is because some people may have trouble finding specific blueprints in game, and there are a lot of blueprints and they just can't put them all in shop. So maybe if we have a blueprint selection tab under that, we should go ahead and be able to buy any blueprint that's available for that weapon. And overall, it'll be great for people who are looking for specific weapon blueprints, or me who does like hidden weapons where I convert a weapon in game to another real life weapon. And overall, I just think that'll be a good improvement for the game. Not as important, but still an improvement nonetheless. This suggestion, however, it's very important, and that'll be spawns. So you can spawn and fall off the map. You can spawn and die instantly if someone is close enough to you. You can also spawn inside a wall. And what's worse is the wall spawns because it's basically like having a shield. And if you're somewhere on an objective or somewhere in the populated area, you'll be able to kill the enemy without taking damage yourself. And that is also possibly one of the most annoying things to go against because you're basically exploiting a glitch or some type of thing. But it's on the developers to be able to fix it. And there's also spots where you can get stuck, as you see here. And personally, I just think things like this should be fixed or sorted out as soon as possible. So my last suggestion, before we get to the fun stuff, this is still another serious one, and it'll be the matchmaking. The matchmaking needs to be improved, because I was waiting so long. Well, this is the day before I started recording this one or editing this. I waited so long for a match that I was able to rearrange all of my loadouts and some of my tank or strike loadouts. Matchmaking is ridiculous sometimes, and it'll not even put me in a room where the lobby is populated. It'll likely put me in a room by myself for multiple minutes on end, and then I'll end up just either waiting a long time or just not getting into a match at all. So matchmaking does need to be tweaked on a little bit more. I've heard they've already done it, but there's still a little bit more kinks that need to be ironed out. Okay, so that will be the end of the first part. And that was pretty much the serious suggestions I had, the game stability and such. But now we get into the fun stuff, the speculation, what we want added into the game, like maps, weapons, vehicles, all that sort of stuff. So I'm glad you stuck around for this long. So now let's get into the really fun stuff. Okay, so what do I want added? So I'm gonna start with going with some American stuff first. So I would say for light machine guns, the M240 Bravo or the M249. I know those are Belgian made, but most people have that under American because it's pretty much our adaptation of the Minimi and the FN Mag. The next thing is the CAC LAMG, Nice Armament Company. So basically, this is the 5.56 millimeter turret if you use the drone with the turret on it in game. It's weird that we have that, and yet we don't have it being usable in the operator's hands. So if they introduce that as a weapon we can level up, that would be great. And the next thing for weapons will be the Barrett series rifles. That will be the Barrett M82, M107, and the Barrett MRAD, which is the 338 Lapua Magnum version, the MRAD, and I think the Barrett M82 and M107, they both take the same caliber, which is 50 cal. So we have 408 Shade Tack in the game. However, we don't have 50 cal, which is interesting. Maybe it's a bit hard to balance, but then again, the Shade Tack in this game shreds through everything. I think I've only gotten the hit marker with this weapon once, and 50 cal, you just shouldn't be hit marking at that point. Every shot should be a kill. So that's for weapons because we already have the M4. We already have the Scar, which is Belgian, but you can turn into the Mark 17 if you want. We're gonna go over that a little bit later. For vehicles, I would say the Striker and the Bradley will be nice in this game. We already have the Abrams, so the Striker I is an APC, I believe, so that could go under armored fighting vehicle in this game, and the Bradley is an infantry fighting vehicle, which you can go under IFV. Now my Russian selection, which is honestly going to be the most interesting because there is no 5.45 by 39 millimeter rifles in game, which I find astonishing because most games do have the AK-74. Well, now they do at least the AKS-74U. Um, there are a lot of games that have the 5.45 series of rifles, yet World War III doesn't, and it claims to be World War III. However, many weapons we see now used by the Russian military are the AK-74, whether they're upgraded, the M variant. We also have the AK-12s, which would be nice. The RPK-16, which is pretty much the LMG version of the AK-12, just like how the RPK is the LMG version of an AK. Pretty much, we don't have 5.45 millimeter rifles in game, and I find that a bit weird since this game is considered, or this game is called World War III. So that'll be very nice additions to the game. Really, something we should have already had. Now, back in the beta, there was a thing called the Vepr 18, which was a 5.45 by 39 millimeter round, and it was a 5.45 weapon. Yet it was removed during the overhaul back in the late 2010s, early 2020s. I think it was around there, but I haven't been playing for that long. So for Russian, more Russian stuff. We already have a lot of Russian things in game. We have Russian shotguns. We have the Vepr. I would say at the Sega, but I'm not sure if it's being used. But it doesn't really matter like that. But we don't have too many things because we already have a lot of Russian items in game. So the BTR and the BMP should be selectable streaks. So the BMP, I believe, is I'm not sure if it's a troop transport, but I know it's definitely has a weapon on it. The BMP threes, as well as the BTR 90s, which you can get. You can get the BTR 90 in game. However, it's not a selectable streak. So it would be nice if that was added to a selectable streak. Now, for European weapons, I'm not too well versed, but I'm gonna try to remember everything. So for Beretta, or at least for Italy, we're gonna start with that. So we have the ARX 160, the Beretta ARX 200, the Benelli M4, and the Beretta PMX, and lastly the Beretta M9. So those are some Italian picks that I've personally remembered. Also played with a few in other games. And I think they're still being used by the Italian military unless they're going to go ahead and replace their stuff, but I'm not too sure. Now, for France, we have the FAMAS, which is interesting. I'm not sure the FAMAS is even being used anymore or is being slowly phased out or replaced or maybe upgraded. I am not so sure. So for Steyr, there's a Steyr M9. And there's also a Steyr AUG from Austria. Definitely would like to see the AUG turn in game, as well as the H-bar variant, which is the light machine gun variant. I would also like to see the CZ Bren 2 and the CZ 75. So the Bren 2 is a Czech Republic rifle. The next one would be the pistol, which is the CZ 75. Now, maps are by far the easiest thing because you can pretty much make a map anywhere. But before Farm 51 transferred their game to wishlist games. I believe there was a Chinese map that was pretty much going to be a bigger version of Golby Temple that we were going to be able to play with tactical ops, and I would like to see that map finished and pushed out. I would also like to see, and I've been saying this for a while, but I will also like to see a Brazil map because Brazil is definitely an interesting place to have a map. We can either do a favela map, a forest map, a mix of the two. It doesn't even matter. But overall, Brazil would be a nice place to have a map. Now, for also, I think I want to say, what other place should have a map? I mean, Australia could, but it'll look a lot like DMZ or just like a desert. But we should have some desert style maps in the Middle East, maybe. I feel like a Middle Eastern venue would also be pretty nice, as well as some Africa and America venues. You could really put a map anywhere, but the maps currently are very Eastern European and Russian centered, which is pretty much would be the theater for World War III. I don't know if they even have that story going on, or if they're gonna deviate from that and just start adding maps. But overall, I would love to see a little bit of creativity, as long as it's kind of grounded in realism, so nothing too crazy out there. But I would also love to see mainly a Brazil map because I'd be stoked to play that, and I'm not even Brazilian. We could also have some American maps, whether it's on the plains or the mountains or maybe in a city, but they definitely have a lot of room to work with when it comes to maps. I don't know. I'm not sure if they're gonna keep it fictional or real life inspirations, which is pretty much what it is. Some of these maps are, but overall, the map speculation it really goes crazy unless they're following like a set story. So my top pick would be a Brazilian map, a Middle Eastern map, possibly an American map. But definitely one of those three, and maybe another snow map. So maybe something in like the Arctic front, like Canada, or Russia. I'm not, or maybe Alaska would be a nice addition. I'd also like to see some, and like maybe have some weather effects. What I'm trying to say is that some maps maybe have rain, some maps may have snow, like a blizzard, or something like a sandstorm. Something like what Battlefield 2042 tried to do in their maps. Would be occasionally there'd be like a sandstorm that kind of blinds everything, or maybe like a snowstorm that does the same thing, a thunderstorm. uh Absolutely have some maybe some crazy weather in there, but I just think it adds a little bit to the atmosphere of new maps. So I would like to see them experiment a little bit with like the weather settings and such. So that's gonna be my take on what they should add in terms of new maps. They could go crazy as long as it's kind of rooted in some type of reality. So that's pretty much what I gotta say about maps. All right, we've reached the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and comment. I want to hear your opinions about what should be added, removed, or changed in the game. And I would be doing an honorable mentions comment because there are definitely some things that I have left out in this video. Not on purpose, but I just couldn't remember it all. But other than that, I really hope you enjoyed. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one.